Welcome to the SwitchClicksPodcast, episode 16. We recorded on October 26th, 2020. Today we'll be giving our first impressions on Genshin Impact, the latest anime-style gacha RPG that is somehow sweeping the nation. My name is Dakota, and today I'm joined by Nathan.
Hello.
And Jagjit.
Hello.
So when the game released, I saw it on my TikTok for some reason. And I'm like, hey, the art style looks really cool. And the gameplay looks like another game. We're going to talk about that later, but it definitely looks like another game. And then I saw all the characters have like a personality to each other. And I also just wanted a game to grind, so I decided to try it out, and so far it's pretty fun.
I decided to try it out because I needed a game to sort of hold me over for some of the Nintendo games, like Age of Calamity, for example. I needed a game that was supposedly similar to Breath of the Wild, but that was still fun for me to grind.
I mean, I just found it because I was like, oh, Breath of the Wild clone? Cool, let me try it out. And I'm like, yep, it's actually a pretty sick game. But I'm waiting for it to be on Switch.
And if for those who don't know, this game is made, I believe, by a Chinese company.
Yes.
And it's available on PS4, and not on Xbox, and PC, mobile, and apparently it's coming to Switch. Why do you guys think you play this game? Like, what's keeping you?
Me,
The characters, I guess.
Yeah, it's the characters.
There is multiplayer, but I just want to play on Switch. I don't want to play on my phone anymore.
Yeah, so I've recently got a good computer to run games on, so I'm like looking for games to play. So once Genshin Impact came out, I'm like, hey, this looks really cool.
I'd rather have it on the go, too.
That's true.
Playing on phones is clearly not ideal.
I mean, yeah, playing on the go or putting it on my TV, playing on a big screen. Kind of like
Yeah.
I
guess that's where cross saves kind of come in.
Yeah, for me, I think the characters, the world is definitely just exploring the world is really inviting, I think, to the player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's really Breath of the Wildy in its world. I honestly think this world has a lot more character, I think.
Oh yeah, of course, because there's more civilization, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's actually true.
It seems a lot more fantasy when you look at it. It's not like Breath of the Wild where you have a little mix of both.
Three major towns and that's it.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild was kind of just quiet. Here it's like you actually have a sort of kingdom or something, and outside of it, it's just the danger.
Yeah, and I guess like you could say that Breath of the Wild 2 might actually add more, but it's like we don't know what's gonna happen.
What's also bringing me in is that the gacha mechanics are pretty fair, I think.
Yeah.
They give you a lot of the Prima gems. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah,
They give you a lot of those early on,
Grims. Yeah, the Primo Grims.
which you can turn into the wish stars.
The gacha aspect of it can be so out of the way that you completely forget about it as well.
Yeah, and you get like every 10 summons, those are guaranteed 4 and above. So it's kind of cool.
And they do have a mechanic that if you do a certain amount of wishes, I think it's like 40, it guarantees you a 5-star after a certain amount of wishes.
Oh, jeez.
So eventually,
pretty generous.
It is, and I think it's a good thing. It keeps the player engaged a good amount to keep spending money. Luckily, I don't think any of us have spent money into the game.
Well, there's always daily bounty missions to do, so you can just do
Not a game that sort of throws the whole payment stuff in your face. Like, oh, if you really want to go that far, then yes.
For the this game really blew up on I think Twitter mostly, on Twitch and on TikTok. I think one of the bigger one is, I think it's like number 4 sometimes on Twitch, which is pretty insane.
Was the biggest. Well, I think it was the most. I think it was set to be the most successful like Chinese game launched outside of China or something like that.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you join our community Discord server for instant updates and exclusive sneak peeks. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show. So this game apparently, I'm watching YouTube videos, and apparently the late game gets really boring. only because it gets to become kind of grindy, like an RPG does, / an MMO.
Well, and I guess that's where people started complaining.
Well, that's where daily events and stuff come in.
Yeah, which is honestly probably pulling me more in than what Breath of the Wild did. So,
Oh well, Breath of the Wild is clearly just a single playthrough type of thing. This thing is more of an ongoing game.
I do want to actually mention the intro to this game. Like, I was downloading this not knowing a single thing about the entire game, and then I downloaded, booted up. The intro was so good.
Anime for one thing.
It made me incredibly hyped for what I was going to play. I'm not sure if it lived up yet. I think it did.
I think the moment that really caught me off guard was the gameplay intro after the opening cutscene. You know the one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, where Paimon talks about Paimon and
Oh no, not Paimon. The one after where you walk up the pathway from the beach. And you
the dragon. Yeah, the dragon. I love the dragon.
the camera panning across the entire area. Very reminiscent of Breath of the Wild's intro.
You could describe both of them without any details to somebody, and you wouldn't be able to guess which one is from which game.
Camera pans up to point to the whole world, and you see this entire kingdom, and then the game's logo appears.
It wasn't even the entire kingdom in Genshin. It was just kind of like one field with the city in the background.
It was just an area of the game, but they made it seem like, holy crap, you're in this giant immersive world.
Which, to be fair, it is a giant immersive world.
It is, yeah.
The thing I really like about this game is the elemental powers each character has that you can get, and the ways that you can flip between each character, and then you can mix the elementals. So an example that I've been using a lot is I have an electricity on my team, electricity character, and what's her name, Feshel, and then I also have a fire type on my team, Bennett. And I use Bennett's special move that I have to slowly build up, and then I immediately switch over to my electric character and just use her arrows, and that effect changes to an overclocked effect, which I'm pretty sure does like quad damage. because each time I use it on a character, they usually die in the first hit.
Yeah.
I mean, what's his name? Diluc, and he's just everyone wants him apparently. And I'm like, I got him on my first try. Kind of wanted the other one. What's her name? Jean. Kind of wanted her, but I'll take Diluc because he's pretty sick.
Everybody wants Diluc because he's a stud. I do wish that the when you're idle, not really playing the game, they do random voice clips or whatever. There's only usually two that they choose out of, which is incredibly annoying. An example is what's her name, Barbara. She only has like two where she sings, and then she says like, "I wonder how long it'll take to be as tall as my big sister." And it's incredibly annoying because they only switch between the two.
Heck, you could bring in Amber to talk with Amber, or you could bring a character to talk to a character in the story, and boom, they randomly transform to the main character. So weird.
Like at least Amber has a backstory.
Yeah, it's like, oh hey, I'm gonna be staying here while you could go get this, but then you change over to that character, and they're already doing the quest.
Yeah, you see Amber standing in front of you, and you change into Amber. There's two of them.
It's like, go solve this riddle for me. Oh wait, I'm just gonna do it myself.
Amber used Shadow Clone Jutsu and she's just cloned herself.
I do actually really like the story. It's it's pretty creative with its quests, I'd say. I guess you haven't played that much, but I think it's creative with the quests. It's less of, okay, go to this place, kill these guys, and leave. It's more of like I don't have an example right now, but speaking of quests, I really like the finding the geo gems or something. What are they called? The things that get basically level up your stamina and health.
Where if they copy the location from Breath of the Wild,
Hey you, did you know that 66% of people who watch our videos have not subscribed yet? I know, it's insane. I haven't used subscribe yet. Go ahead and subscribe. Keep comparing the game to Breath of the Wild. Only really because it is at the sort of, I think when the game was first revealed, it was definitely pushed saying, "Hey, we're not Breath of the Wild, but you guys think we're Breath of the Wild," and the internet definitely made the comparisons to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Until the game came out.
So, like, what would you say? It's kind of not.
Well, I'd say the animations are almost the exact same for climbing, and some of the mechanics are definitely yoinks from Breath of the Wild, but the art style definitely makes a difference. And I think the world is a little more saturated and just looks a little bit better with colors. Other than that, the gacha mechanic is definitely different.
I have to say though, it's not Breath of the Wild. That's what I kind of want to say here. It's so drastically different. It doesn't even feel like Breath of the Wild. And it's a good thing. That's a good thing. But like hearing a comparison now is kind of just out of my reach because it doesn't really make sense to me anymore. Games play so drastically different. Combat plays drastically different. I think I don't know if it's safe to say this, but exploration's kind of different. Landscape and map layout. I feel like Breath of the Wild is a lot more open in the sense it's less closed. I also forgot to mention how Genshin requires progression in the game to actually explore the entire map. Breath of the Wild doesn't. That's where the whole like skill-based thing comes into play. Breath of the Wild, you can virtually beat the game within 10 minutes or so. You need to have a lot of skill and the right resources to do so. Genshin, you have to actually progress through the game, even if it comes to fighting enemies as well. It's really just about progression in Genshin, where in Breath of the Wild, you could easily have the crappiest weapons and beat the hardest enemies.
I think that's probably why it's actually pulling me in. The progression is really well done. It's slow enough that I think I like exploring, but it's also fast enough that I don't get bored immediately.
It's not like Skyrim where you have to grind the hell out of the game in order to actually be able to fight an enemy and not get one-shotted.
Well, Breath of the Wild, I didn't get bored. I played non-stop. I never got bored of it once. I was like, yo, I just got to complete everything. Except I didn't do the Koroks because I don't want to do that. It's too much. I don't want to get golden poop.
You better do it someday.
It's 900. I don't have the time. And we can end it off with what's your rating of the game so far? Out of 10, I'd say.
9 out of 10. Just give me the Switch version. I'm gonna make it perfect.
9 out of 10. Give me the Switch version. I'd say 8 out of 10 because I ran into a problem at launch. I might as well talk about it now. I had a cross-saving problem, actually. When I start the game, I first played the game on mobile, and I logged to my Gmail account. Then I tried to do the same on PC, but the PC version crashed my computer because it got too hot for some reason. Couldn't get past the intro cutscene. I tried again, and the game did work, but I didn't get the same save file because I apparently made a second account, even though I already linked my Google account to this new account. And it took me a while to figure it out, but I had to log out of the account, change my username, and then finally I was able to fix the issue. Even so, I'd rather play on mobile than PC because my PC is absolute crap.
I just want Switch version. Give me that.
Just give me the Switch version as well. I'm a bit mad on
and they're just
mobile control.
Well, they said once the beta testing releases, we're gonna be able to play it. It's gonna be similar to Ninjala, where they just release the beta, we play it.
Either give me the Switch version or give me controller support. Switch controller support on PC or
I would take controller support, but guess what? They don't want to do that.
And they need to add controller support on mobile because I'm starting to get a little annoyed with controls. Either it's delayed or or it's just jittery.
Yeah, that's kind of why I just didn't even bother with it on mobile.
Of course, mobile also has the battery life issue, which causes your phone to heat up. Surprisingly, it doesn't do it on my phone. I use a Samsung Galaxy S10, so it's something. I heard bad things about stuff on a Pixel 3 or iPhone XS, stuff like that. I was hoping they fix those eventually through updates.
Or just add controller support and make it.
Controller support. 8 out of 10 for me. What's your rating, Dakota?
You know what? Yeah, 8 out of 5. No, I'm gonna say like 8.59 out of 10. Only because I want better characters for my wishes. My RNG sucks, and I don't have anybody to play with. I feel like it'd be really fun with friends.
Just give me the Switch version and and I'll play with you. Just give me the Switch version.
I
That's
think
it.
the motivation to grind this game more.
Maybe some motivation will be if people join our Discord, and then we can all play with each other and give tips and help. And this is definitely not a plug. Thank you for joining us in our first impressions of Genshin Impact.
Be sure to check us out on Twitter and other social media, and don't forget to join our Discord server. And be sure to stay tuned for the next episode of the Switch Clicks podcast.